What makes an art style appealing is not always correlated to its level of technical prowess. One Punch Man's original art still has a lot of charm, even though it's not nearly as pretty as the redrawing. Azumanga Daioh has a very simple look, yet has become a sort of cult classic online. But when an artist has great ideas and the skills of a professional to bring that to life, that lightning in a bottle combination is where you get manga like Gachiakuta. It's drawn by Kei Urana, who worked on Soul Eater, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorite mangas to study and analyze. Because look at these illustrations, like how do you draw this? Notice how she draws eyes. Anime eyes are famously large and cat-like, making them one of its most recognizable features. But with this incredibly exaggerated design is the risk of becoming very iconographic with less experienced artists. When you're learning to draw and all you have to reference is hyper-stylized cartoons, it becomes very easy to forget that they're actually a real-life part of the body, and this is a mere abstraction of that. And even within the anime style, there are a million ways to simplify them, and the eyes of Gachiakuta are no exception. They are absolutely massive and cartoonish, but they have a very clear and well-designed structure that removes any sense of uncanniness that you sometimes see in other styles. Do you see how the eyelashes have an actual material to them? Like they actually protrude from around the eyelids. And the tear ducts are also visible, which almost nobody ever draws. And look at the pupils. They're inside the lens of the eye, which is concave in real life, and makes them appear to warp like this when viewed from an angle. And this manga is full of unconventional angles. One of the most obvious signs of how knowledgeable an artist is in drawing the forms of the human body is how many unconventional angles they can draw it from. And Urana does not shy away from them whatsoever. There are some absolutely wacko face angles in here, especially during the fight scenes, and it's honestly hard to understate how impressive this is. Urana's eyes are like putty. They're twisted and exaggerated into these amazingly intense expressions despite how detailed the art is. It's just that one step out of realism and into cartoonishness that lets every character still be boiled down into comedic, rudimentary scribbles when the situation calls for it. Or we can talk about the hair, where like the eyes, structure is the key element. Urana draws hair as this very sturdy and clay-like substance, almost like the characters dunk their heads in a bucket of hair gel every morning. Instead of strands or locks, they have these rigid hair clumps that stick out in crazy geometric angles, and these hairstyles are rad. Look at this fucking Binky kid, like how do you come up with that? It comes from years and years of studying real life eyes and hair, that deep understanding that leads you to experiment like this. Once you're knowledgeable enough in the art fundamentals to accurately depict reality, you can begin to twist and exaggerate it to fit your own personal tastes, which Urana also does by making everyone really bony. Look at those clavicles, look at that radius, and look at those hands. It's drawn with thick, rugged lines that fit the tone of the dystopian world it takes place in, and these lines are infectious. They spread into the panel borders themselves, which, speaking of, we gotta talk about the paneling. The paneling in this manga is fucking awesome. I love when manga panels break their own conventions and start getting all artistic and non sequitur. In Gachiakuta, the panels will often warp to match the psychological states of the characters. When shit is going down, the panels start distorting and threaten to break out of the pages. It reminds me of Ping Pong. Not the game, the 1996 manga about the game. The art alone is incredibly unique, but equally creative is the paneling. Look at this, everything is linear and conventional until a game starts and the page is shattered into 100 chaotic frames. Triangular panels, hexagonal panels, weird curved panels, all reinforce the hectic and unpredictable pace of a ping pong match. Genius. Manga with art like Gachiakuta are few and far between. The highest possible compliment I can give to it is that I'm currently using it as my main source of references to study from. Like, there is just that much to learn from this. It's the type of art that makes you look at your own stuff like, what the hell am I doing? Everything is top tier. Anatomy, gesture, character designs, inking. Surely there's something wrong with it. At least the backgrounds are bad, right? Fuck! And it's a weekly series? How do you draw this shit every week? Plus you've got the graffiti art, drawn by Ando Hideyoshi, which is, I mean, do I even need to explain why this is cool? It's got the exaggerated swagger of a Japanese mangaka, like these belong on a wall somewhere, or as a big spray painted mural somewhere in Tokyo, honestly. Everything about this comic is so extra and over the top, and all I'm saying is, if Trigger doesn't get their hands on this, I will human instrumentality all of Japan.